Hey, it's Pete here and I'm back for another Daily Dose, and today we're starting a new feature of little known technique. So there's lots of aspects of bridge technique that not everyone knows about, and I'm just going to go through some of them in this Daily Dose series. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is ducking with your ace, even when there's a singleton on the table and it's trumped. So let's have a look at some examples here. So let's say that we've got this hand and the opponent's wind up in four spades. I'm not going to give the actual bidding. And let's say that what your partner leads isn't relevant. The main thing here is we're looking at the clubs. Okay, so dummy's got a singleton club, we've got the ace, and most people just instinctively will fly with that ace. Now this is actually poor technique, and I'll go through why. So there are a few times where you do want to fly with the ace. Now the times when you do it is when, say, there's no outside losers in the suit, and they've just got wall-to-wall tricks and they've got lots of trumps and there's no issues there. Another time when we do actually want to fly with the ace is when we know a way that we can beat the contract. We can see how we can get our tricks and we just want to go ahead and do that rather than risk letting them make it. So that's the second one. The third technique, third time that we want to actually fly with the ace is when, based on the defense, we know our part of the partnership has to win the trick first. If our partner can't win the trick first and we have to push some suit through, then maybe it's worthwhile. But all in all, if those aren't the reasons, one was they've got like wall-to-wall tricks and trumps outside of that suit, or we know how to beat it, or that our side has to win it first, we usually want to duck it. And we'll look at why. So let's open up the cards. So we'll show all the cards, and we're just really looking at the club suit here. Okay, so let's say that they win and they go in with the spade. Okay, now remember that East-West can only see their cards. Now, if they just pull a club straight away, if you fly with the ace, they're definitely going to get their king of clubs and they'll be able to throw a heart away on it. Okay, so they'll always get that club trick. Whereas, if you play low, then they have a guess. If they put in the jack, then they get no club tricks whatsoever. And if they put in the king, they already had that trick, which means that you might not get a club trick, but you'll get a trick in the other suit. And this is why it's important that they've got losers in the other side suits. But here, when they lead a club, if you play low, most people will put in the jack, and because they expect people to fly with their ace. So yeah. If they've got wall-to-wall stuff in the side suits, it's important to hop up with the ace. But when they don't have that, you play low and they've got a guess. If they put in the jack, then they'll actually lose all the clubs. They get no club tricks and they don't get that discard. So it's important to plan ahead. When you see that singleton in dummy, you have that ace, think, is it important for me to actually fly with the ace or not? Let's look at another situation. So this time, they've got the king and the queen, so they don't even have a guess there. So let's say they get to four spades, and not that partner would be leading their stiff spade very often, and we get a club lead. Now let's look at this situation. If we hop up with the ace, they've got the king and the queen of clubs for two discards. They'll be able to take two club tricks and throw away two things in the outside suits. Whereas if we play low, we don't get a club trick. They do get one club trick, but they don't get that second one. So they don't get to throw away two tricks in the other side suit. So even though we didn't score a club trick in this case, they still have their three club losers. They don't have those spare winners. They can't throw things away. And it's better for us because we'll get tricks in that side suit, even when they've got the king and the queen there in no guess. So that's another important one. Let's look at another example here. So let's say, again, they get to four spades. And we get the spade lead. This time they've got queen, jack, 10, fourth. If we lead a club, if we play the ace, now what they have is a roughing finesse through our partner's king. So they'll be able to lead the queen and rough out the king, and then they'll be able to get two club tricks that way and only lose one club. So they'll lose one, they'll rough one, and have two club winners, in this case where we flew with our ace. But if we duck it, and they put in the 10, or the queen or something, now, because we're the one with the ace, if they take the roughing finesse by leading the queen now, we get a second club trick this way. So the resource here of their club suit fails again. So there are so many different situations where it's better for you to duck when they've led that singleton off the board. Final one here. So here they have solid clubs. So this time, when they lead it, they go in and they now lead a club. If we go up with our ace, they lose one, and they've got 3 club winners to throw other things away. If we play low, we don't get a club trick, but they don't get their 3 club winners without giving us that club trick anyway. So it gives them an option here where they can choose to rough all 3 of their clubs, but for the most part, if they lead the king, they'll probably just give us their club trick anyway, because they don't want to have to rough every single one of these clubs. So by ducking, even when they had solid clubs, they get 1 club winner, but they've got 3 club losers if they don't want to give us their ace, and they'll have to expend a lot of their trumps doing that. Whereas otherwise, we'll still get our ace in the long run, even when they have solid clubs. So a lot of different examples here, and I hope you enjoyed this sort of hidden technique that even when there's a singleton in dummy, it is still very right to duck with your ace nearly all the time. Now, sometimes you'll get burnt, but the vast majority of the time you'll get rewarded there. So when you have the ace in the suit, dummy's got a singleton, just think, when you see the dummy, your first thought is, do I want to try and duck this? The answer should probably be yes, and get ahead of time. Because it's really important that when you duck it smooth, because if they've got that king-jack position, you want them not to be able to guess what your club holding is. So if they pull a club, you play low, and they will misguess clubs a lot. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's daily dose on hidden technique, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.